Algebra 2 trigonometry regions, circle equations. Now, circle equations were actually something you studied last year in geometry, and they do kind of fit better in geometry than they do here, but it's in the curriculum, so that's what we're going to do. We're actually going to do 2 days of it because today we just cover the basics that you did last year, and so it should be a pretty easy and familiar day for you. But then what we'll do the next day in the next video is we'll interpret this with completing the square and stuff like that, some skills that we've learned this year in Algebra 2. But first, to recap from last year, the equation of a circle, the standard form for the equation of the circle is like this. You have x minus some number, h, that we're using, h squared, and h is the x value of your center coordinate. There's a plus between. It's important there's a plus between, and don't forget that after the parentheses that there's a squared here, and that's important. You can't drop that. Then you have a y minus k, again, parentheses squared, and k is the y value of your center coordinate. And it's equal to the r squared, your radius squared. Notice that it's not equal to r. Your radius is r, but your equation is r squared. And so you have to remember the relationship there. The key thing is remembering that this is x minus h, and the center is just h. So you're going to see an opposite sign relationship between the sign of your coordinate and the numbers in these locations. So if we look at an example, which is an equation of a circle whose center is 5, negative 1. So we have a positive 5 and a negative 1. And so that means we're kind of looking for the opposite sign in a sense. So this positive 5 means I'm looking for something with an x minus 5. And one way to remember that, it's almost like 5 plugged into which of these makes it 0. 5 plus 5 is 10, but 5 minus 5 is 0. I don't know if that's helpful or not, but just remember the difference in the sign between this positive 5, and so it's going to be x minus 5. Here's a negative 1, so it's going to be y plus 1. There's a plus in between. The parentheses are each being squared, so these are the same as far as the center coordinate is concerned. Your radius is 3. So if r equals 3, our equation equals r squared. So if our radius is 3, that means r squared is 9. So the answer is C. The most common mistake students make is they see r equals 3, and so they think it's going to have to be the 3. But it's your radius squared in the equation. All right, how about this one? The center is 7, 0. So that means I'm looking for my x minus 7. And my y value is 0. So we're not going to write y minus 0 squared because y minus 0 is simply y squared. So when one of your coordinates is 0, you see that it's just going to end up being plus y squared, which again both B and D have. Radius is 4, but radius squared, it's not 4, is 16. So the answer is D. Going the other way, here's your equation. So I see an x minus 3. That means I have a positive 3 x value. The y plus 5 tells me I have a negative 5. So my coordinate is 3, negative 5. And it's equal to 9. This is your radius squared, not your radius. So if r squared equals 9, that means my radius must be 3. So the answer is D. One more. I have just x squared here. And so that means my x value must be a 0, because it's kind of like x minus 0. And then a y minus 2 tells me positive 2. So 0, 2 is what I'm looking for, which both A and B have. And my r squared, my equation, remember it's r squared, and that's, I'm really trying to emphasize that. And of course, that's the difference between these, is this is not my radius. That's my radius squared is 5. So my square is the square root of that, which since it's not a square, we're going to leave as rad 5. And so the answer here is A. So that's it for circle equations. We start off really just doing a day refreshing your memory of what you learned last year in geometry about this. It's not too bad. But in the next video, we'll get into more complex problems that involve completing the square and solving systems and things like that. Okay, so short video this time.